Now to the House COVID vote from a Republican critic of the president, a rare one, Congressman Adam Kinzinger of Illinois, and we spoke to him just a short time ago. Congressman Kinzinger, you've been very vocal, unusually vocal, almost uniquely vocal as a Republican in calling out efforts by President Trump and other Republicans to overturn, in the simplest terms, the election results. I just wonder, given the flack that you're facing as a Republican, and there are costs to this, right? Political costs, why? Why are you taking such a forthright stand?
All right, so I don't want to sound like I'm trying to be overly virtuous, but here's the reality. I decided to run for Congress when I was in Iraq in 08, 09. So it was the 09 timeframe. And I said, if we're going to ask young men and women to put their life on the line for the country, I'm going to run for Congress and fight for it from the inside. And I've always said, even in my 10 years in Congress, we have to be willing to make tough votes because we're asking people to put their life on the line for the country. So we have to put our career on the line. And this is especially so right now because this isn't about, whether you like Donald Trump or you like his policies anymore. This is all about, are you undermining the very institution of a free and fair election that is so very important to the foundation of democracy and to the survival of this democracy that it is well worth putting everything online to tell the truth.
To your credit, you've called out this ongoing fight as a grifting operation, right? A self-interested attempt to raise money. When it comes to President Trump specifically, you tweeted, we're quoting here, "My God, trying to burn the place down on the way out because you can't handle losing. No evidence, nothing but your temper tantrum and crazy conspiracies. Embarrassing." What damage is the president doing here? Because the fact is, as you note, some people still buy it, right? So you're going to have a portion of this country who believes, without basis, that the election was stolen.
Yeah, I think it's more of a long-term damage. I think in the short term, look, there's going to be a transition of power. It'll probably be not pretty in the meantime, as we've been seeing. I do worry about the potential for violence on January 6th, but I think the long-term or even medium-term damage here is if you believe that your vote doesn't count and you believe that the system's rigged, and in some cases you believe that it's, Satan running the U.S. government, ultimately, you are going to lash out not just on Twitter, but there are going to be people that lash out violently. And you have, these folks now that you see them on Twitter. So again, not real life, but that are seeming to pine for the idea of a civil war. Jim, you've been to war-torn areas. I have too. I think people that say anything like that have no clue what war is. And the very heart medicine they rely on to stay alive will go missing if this country falls apart to civil war.
Listen, you've seen it more than me. You served on the front lines, but I did cover it. We've seen the consequences of civil war. It's real. It's not something that exists just, in Twitter land. You mentioned January 6th. The president is still calling for, protests on that day. There was violence a couple weeks ago in D.C. when some of these supporters turned out here. Do you sense at all that this drive is fading, right? The New York Post today, right, which has been in lockstep with the president, said, get over it, right? Is it fading? You have sitting members of Congress who sit next to you in the chamber who still say they will challenge these results on January 6th.
I don't think the idea of challenging the results is going to fade because the reality is I can't imagine that any of these people, except maybe the brand new members of Congress coming in that don't really understand how stuff works, like in terms of government. I don't think any of them think that this is a legitimate move. But if they do, it's frightening, actually. Yeah. But I think it's all about raising money. It's all about being the hero on Twitter, getting the donations, getting a gajillion followers. So now you can have some kind of an influence. That's what this operation is. By the way, I'm not trying to both sidesism here, but this happens all the time. You see the drama that comes from the Democrats and from the Republicans. You raise money on fear. You create fear, all to raise money. And look, to some extent, we do have to talk about, the negative things in this country. But when we only talk about that And we only, are teaching our kids that America is some flawed country and that politics is all about who can yell the loudest and tweet the angriest. How are we going to expect them to ever restore the sanity in politics that we grew up with?
Yeah, I mean, to your point, if you're at home, watch those fundraising emails and look for the fine print. Look where that money can go. Final question, different topic. President Trump he signed the COVID relief bill. That will send $600 stimulus checks to millions of Americans. His delay in signing the bill, got him nothing. But now you actually do have Democrats voting as well to increase that payment to $2,000, something the president has pushed for. Does that have any legs in the House or the Senate?
Well, it's possible. I voted for that increase. It passed just barely under suspension. I don't know what's going to happen in the Senate. I think we're in a unique time where people need the money. But here's the deal. The president never said his position from the beginning. It was all a guessing game. And by the way, also, Nancy Pelosi had an opportunity in the fall to get this done, and she made it very clear it was about the election. So this isn't about pointing fingers. I think right now we just need a clean reset on how we do politics, start respecting each other again, and grow up. But, that's probably pretty wishful thinking.
Goodness. I mean, if only we could teach our children better lessons by example. Congressman Adam Kinzinger, thank you for speaking tonight. Thank you for your service to this country.
You bet. Happy New Year.